This teacher had a candy tax. So one of my subscribers sent me the story. It was period 1 teacher. No food, no drinks allowed, unless it was a water bottle with a lid. But candy? Candy was allowed, with a catch. If you bring candy, I get a cut. And he meant it. There was a jar on his desk. It was a big glass jar and it was labeled candy tax. So if you had candy, you would walk in. Here you go. You would put a few candies in the jar, sit down, and you were free to eat your candy openly throughout the class. Payment received, my boy. Payment received. But if he caught you eating candy without giving him the tax first, he would walk over. I didn't see you pay the tax, young man. Here, too late. It's all mine now. And he would take all the candy you had. For the most part, all the students respected this rule. And honestly, so do I. Gotta pay the candy tax. Meet Johnny. Johnny thought he was the smartest kid in the 7th grade. He spent all Monday night practicing his fake stomach pains. Ooh, something kinda hurts. Hope I'm not getting sick. I hope you feel better, sweetie. Well, it works, because on Tuesday morning, his mom fell for it. Oh, Mom, the pain is worse. Oh, my poor baby. Well, I'm heading to work. I'll call you into school. Stay home. Get some rest. Okay. He felt like he pulled off the heist of a century. Spent all day playing video games, thinking to himself, my friends are probably so jealous of me right now. Well, the next morning, he goes back to school. Walks in like a king. What's up, guys? The second he gets into the building, he stops. The floors look extra shiny. Everyone's huddled in different groups, watching a video on their phone. He sees his friends. Yo, what's up? His friend says, bro, you picked the worst day to be sick. Apparently, during 3rd period the day before, there was supposed to be a routine fire drill. But it wasn't just the alarm that went off. Something malfunctioned, and the sprinklers in the main hallway went off. We're talking gallons and gallons and gallons of water hitting those floors. One kid even took the bathroom soap and sprayed it on the floors as the sprinklers were coming down. Slip and slide! The best part was, it was 100 degrees outside, so this felt awesome. Teachers were sliding, the principal slipped, the weird kid from class used a lunch tray as a boogie board. Everybody went home soaking wet, but they said it was the best day of school ever, and that's all anyone talked about for years. But there was Johnny. Oh, that sounds fun. It was amazing. Hope you're feeling better, by the way. Oof. Tough break. I was afraid to fall asleep in class, and this story is exactly why. This person starts by saying that Mr. Vance was a super chill teacher. What's up, class? Let's learn some history. He spent most of class leaning against the wall, talking about history like it was a bonfire story. Kids loved him, but he also kept a wooden paddle hanging on the wall right next to the whiteboard. No, it wasn't for hitting students. Why'd he have the paddle, you ask? Well, it was for situations like this. One day, this kid named Tyler, he had pulled an all-nighter. He had tons of homework to finish, and no matter how hard he tried to stay awake, he couldn't. The teacher clocked it. He then stopped teaching, went to the paddle, and walked by this kid's desk. And the kids in Tyler's row knew the drill. They all got everything off their desks and they kind of scooted back. The teacher then took that paddle and as hard as he possibly could, he smacked it on the desk right next to Tyler. And it was so loud. And Tyler didn't just startle awake. He hopped about 5 feet in the air. The teacher then went right back to teaching. Hey, stay awake. All right, class. And boy, is that the worst. Now, my teachers didn't have a paddle, but they would just take their hand and I would never sleep. Those kids started a lemonade stand to make some extra cash, but Dax was playing a much darker game. He opened a barber shop in his garage, and even though his fades were terrible, every kid was lining up for a $5 buzz cut. Step up, who's next? It was like the social event of the summer. Everybody was hanging out, listening to music, laughing at how bad the haircuts were. Bro, you look goofy. What? But Miles noticed something weird. After every haircut, Dax was picking up some of the hair and putting it in a Ziploc bag. Huh. Once the day was over, Dax had cut like 15 people's hair. Miles stuck around and asked him, bro, why were you putting your hair in bags? Hey, check this out. He brought him to a shelf, and on that shelf was hundreds of Ziploc bags. Each of them had hair in it, and each of them were labeled. This is Miles from August 12th. This one is Cooper from July 4th. Look at all these. I had the genetic blueprint of the entire 8th grade right here, labeled and dated. Miles just laughed. Bro, you're weird. But Dax leaned in. Everybody thinks I'm a bad barber, which is true, but they don't realize I got a much bigger plan. Next time someone does me dirty, steals my seat at lunch, makes fun of me, I'm gonna find a crime scene anywhere, and I'm gonna drop their hair right in the middle of it. What? Let's say Miles calls me a loser. Well, I hear sirens. I follow the sirens. A crime scene. There was a murder. Miles goes right on the floor. The police. Whose hair is this? They go to the computer. It's Miles. Miles goes to prison for murder. Bro, that is so messed up. And it was. And obviously, that really wouldn't work. But Miles made sure to stay Dax's friend. just in case. You would hate for some of his hair to end up at a crime scene. This kid, let's call him Steven. He spent an entire year saving up. We're talking birthday money, pulling weeds, every $5 bill he could find. He didn't use that money to buy games or food or candy or nothing. He bought a gallon of slate gray paint, some shelves, a desk, and some other things. He spent his entire spring break sanding the floors of his room, painting the walls, setting up his desk and his computer, all by himself. By the time he was done, he had the best room in the entire house. I did it. Steven then went to a 3-day science camp. Well, on Sunday, when it was over, he gets dropped off back at his house, and he enters through the garage. And in the garage, he sees it. His desk, his bed, his shelves, just sitting there in the middle of the garage. What is going on? So he sprints upstairs. The door to his room is locked, and he hears music coming from it. Well, his sister finally opens it. The gray paint was gone. It had been covered in a cheap coat of white, and his sister's ring light was right by the window. Her bed was there, with pink bedding. It was completely different. That's when his dad came out. Oh yeah, son, by the way, we moved your stuff out of your room. We figured your sister could have a better use for it. You see, his sister was a wannabe TikTok content creator, and he said her content was suffering because her old room had no natural light. And since Steven fixed up the room so nicely, it was the perfect studio for her. Where am I supposed to go? Well, your stuff's in the garage, son. Why don't you go build something in there? He spent his own money to renovate a room that he wasn't even allowed to keep. Another instance of horrible parents. This guy was played. When he was in 10th grade, his crush, named Sarah Lee, was in the same class as him. And him, Sarah Lee, and 2 other people were in a group project together. Well, Sarah tells him, "Hey Tommy, come here. Hey, what's up? So you're basically the mastermind of our project? Your job is to design the title slide." Okay, nice. Now Sarah was super smart, but she told this kid that all he had to do was design the title. She told him that first impressions were everything, and that his creative vision would set the project apart, and they were sure to get an A. And he was like, wow, she must actually like me a little bit. So he spent 6 hours. He was choosing fonts, picking out background designs, making it look absolutely incredible. Yes. Meanwhile, Sarah and the other group members were in a completely different group chat. They were doing the project themselves. Now, to me, I would have loved to just have to do the title. Well, presentation day comes, and they are called up to the front of the classroom. All right, you guys, you may start your slideshow. And he was ready for the entire class to see the beautiful title slide he made. Well, it started, and the title slide went up on the projector. And it wasn't his title slide at all. It was just a white background with the name of the project in black font. Wait, I think that, no, it's fine. All right, everybody. And she presented. They got an A, but that wasn't the thing. This kid was trying to impress his crush, but she didn't care. And she admitted later that she was just trying to mess with him, which is not right. Here's what happens when you sell fake hall passes for 2 weeks at school. This kid Tyler was running an entire business. He'd been selling hall passes for basically anybody that wanted to skip class. $5 a pop. The passes, they looked legit as well. Official watermark, teacher signatures, the whole deal. Everyone thought he had some kind of connection to the front office, and he wouldn't sell too many at one time because he didn't want the school to get suspicious, so it was a limited supply he would sell per month. Well, this quiet girl named Maya, hi, I'm Maya, she'd been watching this whole thing go down for weeks. She never said anything, she just observed. Well, one day, she sees Tyler drop one of the passes on the ground. So she picks it up, looks at it for a second, and then puts it in her pocket. Now, she wasn't gonna say anything about it. She's like, this is none of my business, you know, let him do what he's doing. Well, the next day, Tyler tries to sell her a hall pass. No thanks, I'm okay. But then Tyler starts clowning her in front of the whole class. You're such a teacher's pet. Were you too scared to get one of these? Well, here's what Tyler didn't know. Maya's mom literally works for the school office, and she's the one that designs all official school documents. So Maya knows exactly what a real hall pass looks like, down to the specific font and paper stock. Now, like I said, she wasn't gonna snitch on him, but now she is. She takes the hall pass that she found, goes to the principal, and breaks down everything wrong with it. The font is off, the signature's been traced, and this is the wrong paper. This is basic paper from Staples. Principal takes a few days to investigate, pulls up some security footage, and catches Tyler selling these hall passes multiple times. Tyler got a 2-week suspension, and Maya didn't say a word about it to anybody. Nobody knew she snitched. She just went right back to being quiet. That's why you gotta be careful who you disrespect. Somebody might ruin you. Everybody called this one kid weird. How about Scabolinda? Huh? He didn't talk much, he ate lunch by himself, always wore the same hoodie. Then there was this other kid named Mason. And Mason wasn't just a bully, he was the biggest bully in school. I'm kind of the frickin' man. He would flick people's ears in the hallway, kick people's shins for no reason. He would sometimes give kids actual swirlies in the toilet. Well, one morning, Mason's at his locker before first period, and he grabs the combination lock. He feels something. He looks at his fingers. It's brown, thick. He sniffs it. What is this? Someone yells, "Bro, why are your hands brown? What is that smell?" Bro's got poop on his hands. Mason starts wiping it on his jeans, but it just makes it worse. Now his jeans are brown. Dude, you're gross. Turns out somebody covered the combination lock to his locker with dog poop that morning. By third period, everyone's calling Mason Poop Hands. Yo, you see that guy? That's Poop Hands. And that nickname sticks for 2.5 years. Guess who was the person that put the poop on that locker? The weird kid. I know I'm weird. Sometimes people need to be humbled. He didn't tell people about that for years, but when they heard, they all thought he was a legend. And people still call the bully Poop Hands every now and then. The ice cream truck pulled into the neighborhood. Music blasting, kids are sprinting up. One little girl ran up with some crumpled up cash in her hand. A couple minutes later, she walks back to her dad. She's not happy. Hey, what happened? I gave him the $10 bill you gave me, but he didn't give me change back. He only gave me a lollipop. He didn't even give me my ice cream. What? Yeah, and then he just drove away. Now, this dad was so mad. Who would frickin' do that to a little kid? So the next day, what that dad did was he drove to Costco and he bought a bunch of boxes of ice cream bars and ice cream treats and brings them back to the neighborhood. He set it up in coolers in his driveway and wrote a big sign. Free ice cream. Come up, everybody. Everybody is now with their kids in this dude's driveway enjoying some free ice cream. The ice cream truck comes. Come on, kids. But no one even entertains the guy. He just left. The next day he came back, but this dad was still doing the free ice cream thing. Nobody ever went to that ice cream truck again in that block, and he never returned after a while. Good. What a freaking jerk. This math teacher was a total freaking nightmare. She required every student to have a specific scientific calculator in her class. The calculator cost $100, but if you forgot yours, too bad. She wouldn't lend you one and you were not allowed to share or borrow off of anybody else's when you were in the classroom. Well, one Saturday, a junior named Marcus was biking in his neighborhood when he spots a massive garage sale. Oh, that looks sick. He goes up and takes a closer look and he finds an absolute gold mine. This tech hoarder was selling a box of 15 perfect condition graphing calculators for $1 each. Well, Marcus didn't even blink. He bought all of them. I'm gonna buy all of them. He dropped $15, took everything home, and he realized he was sitting on over $1,000 of technology. Well, the next Monday, he brought these to school to start a little business. He would stand right outside of that rude teacher's classroom door. It would be 5 minutes before the bell, and he would rent them out to students that didn't have these calculators. Hey, psst, you need one? I know she's tough. $5 to rent for the class period. Oh my God, thank you so much. There's a test today. I was gonna fail it. I got you, dog. After a while, word spread and people would just message him like, hey, got any calculators today? I need one for the class. Yeah, I got a few left. I'll meet you by the bathroom in 10. The teacher eventually said that students could no longer rent these calculators, but that rule never really stuck because at that point, she's just using any excuse to fail students. This kid retired at the end of the year, and he sold those calculators to people that would buy them for half the price. But he swears he saved a lot of people's grades that year, and that is respect. Every single morning, this kid bought the same thing from the vending machine, sugar-free lemonade. Yum. The same vending machine, the same drink, every morning. It was his routine. Well, one morning he drops his coins in. What the heck? Clink, clink, nothing. The machine is not recognizing this money at all. He tries to press the button to get his coins back, but nothing was happening. Okay, must be broken. He goes to the office and tells them. They say that they have no control over the vending machines at all. So he wrote on a piece of paper, do not use out of order, and he tapes it to that vending machine. Okay, perfect. Now nobody else will waste their money here. Hero moment. The next morning he goes to the vending machine and the paper is gone. So he assumes, oh cool, they must have fixed it. What the heck? Still broken. His coins just gone. Nothing's registering, he cannot get his drink. So he's irritated now. He makes another piece of paper. Do not use out of order. He tapes it on there. This time he checks on it at lunch and the piece of paper is gone. But the machine is still broken. Somebody is taking his paper off but not fixing the machine. People are probably wasting their money here. He didn't want people to make the same mistake he was doing, but he was like, why are they taking this down? So he goes to the principal again, makes the principal call the vending machine company. They come out and they fix it. Yeah. But all the money he put in there was gone. They wouldn't give him a refund. But hey, at least he got the vending machine fixed. And he got to have his sugar-free lemonade again.
This senior class pulled a crazy prank. One night before school, they sent a few people out to pet stores to buy buckets and buckets of crickets. Oh, we got this. This is gonna be the best prank ever. Then, right before lunch, they poured buckets of crickets into any trash can they could find. Well, that day during lunch, a fight broke out. People were pushing and shoving each other. Hey, wait a minute. A crowd begins to form. And amidst all this chaos, these garbage cans got knocked over. And I guess the crickets that have been sitting in there saw this as an opportunity to go crazy. So now there's this wave, this swarm of crickets just going all over the place, and people are freaking out. It turns into chaos. Nobody knows why there's an army of crickets, and somebody pulls a fire alarm. Within minutes, the school loses complete control. And at the end of the day, pest control was there trying to fix the situation, trying to get rid of all these crickets, and I guess they did their best. Weeks go by, and months, and crickets are still showing up. In classrooms, in lockers. Years later, every so often, you could hear them at night in the ceiling, all because of one senior prank. And honestly, that's legendary.
Every kid at this one school got a Chromebook. It was for homework, and they were allowed to take it home. Well, this one kid's mom wanted to punish her kids one day, so she took away the Chromebook so they wouldn't have access to the internet. Mom, I need the Chromebook. I don't care, I'm locking it up until your behavior improves. Okay, well now, naturally, this kid's grades begin to sink because he doesn't have the Chromebook or the internet to do his homework every night. So the mom gets mad again. Your grades are absolutely horrible. Mom, you took the computer. I don't want to hear it. So the mom installs locks on this kid's bedroom door. And it wasn't like a cheap lock. It was a fingerprint lock. So if he wanted to sleep, he had to ask for permission. The mom also changed the house locks as well to only open for her fingerprint. So someday he would get home from school and he would have to wait outside. This is horrible. I hate my life. He explained to his teachers what was going on at home, and they tried calling the mom and talking some sense into her, but the mom always said, I know better than the school, I know better than you teachers, I know better than anyone, okay? This went on from when he was 14 to 18 years old. At 18, he moved out of the house immediately. And now the mom, of course, is like, hi, it's your mom. Why don't you come see me anymore? You never visit. He never visits. I wonder why. It started over a jelly donut. No, that's my donut. I bought it. It was the last one. Yeah, but I was technically in line before you. Yeah, but then you went to the bathroom because you had to take a dump. Steven, you told her? It's the truth. They argue and argue. They start shoving. Then the donut drops on the floor and somebody steps on it. It's no good. It turned into this big thing. Apparently, the school had began picking sides. Nobody even knows what it's about. So now it's two large groups of people. At the front are the two girls, and they just start brawling. And the kids who aren't involved are just watching, like, dude, this is messed up, we gotta leave. Okay, let's go. Well, as those two try to leave the cafeteria, two plainclothes cops come in. You're not going anywhere. Nobody's going anywhere. But by this point, it was out of control. The large fighting crowd makes its way outside, and now they're fighting in front of the school. Hundreds of kids shouting, fighting, people recording it. The security guard gets knocked over. Ouch! Ouch! Somebody pulls the frickin' fire alarm, and that's when it happens. Like 10 cop cars just storm in. They get out of their car. They're wearing helmets and shields, and that's when all the students realized, oh, we should probably stop. But everyone that was involved in the fighting got into huge trouble. Let's just say for the next week, attendance was very low. She told him to wash the car, and she gave him a bucket and a sponge. You should be all set. All right, I'm on it, Mom. So he goes outside with the bucket and the sponge. He sets the bucket right next to the car. I'm gonna put you right here. Then he goes to the side of the house and grabs the hose. Okay, got the hose. And he begins dragging the hose over to the bucket by the car. All right. But the hose is not long enough. It doesn't reach. Ah, great. So he turns on the water. Fill this bucket up, but how am I gonna do it? Just gonna launch it from here. And he begins spraying the hose and trying to arch it into this water bucket. Come on. But the bucket keeps tipping over. Come on. Not again. He adjusts his stance. He changes the angle of the hose. He's trying to find the best way to fill this bucket. But this kid didn't realize that he could just take the bucket and bring it to the hose and then bring the bucket back to the car. Like, at no point does that enter his brain. His mom's watching him through the window. I raised an idiot. I mean, yeah, kinda. These are the worst parents ever. In this house, certain words were banned, like disgusting. If you said the word disgusting, you were grounded for a week. Obviously, no swear words. Bedroom doors had to stay open at all times. Only time they could be in a room with the door closed was the bathroom. This kid's parents hated Cartoon Network. They called it garbage. So yeah, super controlling parents, but one day it became completely out of hand. One day the parents decided that these kids were bad enough to deserve a real punishment. You've seen nothing yet. So the sister was 14, the brother was 12. The parents made them gather every single item in their bedroom. Clothes, pictures, diaries, toys, childhood keepsakes. Their parents made them bag this stuff up in trash bags. And then they marched them outside to a giant burn pile. March to the backyard. And item by item, they made the kids burn every single thing that they bagged up. Every memory, every photo, every childhood item, completely gone. The next day, they went out to see what was left, and it was just ashes. Their entire lives up to that point, ashes. So yeah, in my opinion, worst parents ever. This is nuts. So one day, this kid slapped another student with a ruler. Hey, Billy. Everybody laughs. Even he did. Nobody gets in trouble. Well, for some reason, witnessing this kid slap another kid with a ruler ignited something in them. Because the next day, tons of kids came to school with their own rulers. Of all different kinds. Wood ones, metal ones, plastic ones. And just like that, the hallways turn into medieval combat zones. My turn! Mr. Kevin, no! Milk. School staff started confiscating rulers from everybody, but there was so many kids with rulers, it was very hard to do so. And just like that, another ban. The school banned rulers. If anybody was caught with a ruler, it was taken and they would get a detention. If they were caught 3 times with a ruler, they would get suspended. Now you might be asking, hey, Elliot, what about the classes where rulers are required, like geometry or something? Well, those teachers would pass the rulers out at the beginning of class and collect them at the end. But still, these kids must have been obsessed with rulers, because that sounds crazy. You didn't leave the table until you finished your plate. The kid usually just tries to power through it, but he's tired. He doesn't want to do this anymore, so instead he pretends to take bites and he puts the food into his pocket. Then after dinner, he sneaks upstairs. But he doesn't throw the food in the garbage because he's paranoid. He thinks his parents will find it and realize what he's doing. So instead, he hides it in the vents of the house. Didn't matter what food it was either. Mashed potatoes, chicken, vegetables, fish. Every night, a little bit more. Stuffy, the foodie. But his plate's always clean after dinner and his parents are happy. He's like, this is a solid deal, cowabunga baby. Well, a week and a half go by and yeah, the house begins to smell horrific. His parents think there's a dead animal in the attic. They hire someone to come look, but there's no dead animal. Then they have the carpets cleaned, then the walls cleaned. And the last thing they got checked was the vents. The guy pulls it open, he's looking. Yeah, there's a bunch of old rotten food in the vents. And everything kind of comes to light. The parents find out what the kid's been doing, but they feel bad. They're like, oh my God, we were forcing you to eat. You weren't hungry, you shoved the food in the vents. We're horrible parents. Well, maybe, kinda. Why would you force your kid to eat? Regardless, that rule stopped, and the house still smells a little bit like fish.
It's March. The school goes into one of those lockdowns where the police bring in these dogs to sniff around the lockers looking for some sort of illegal substances. Every classroom door is locked, there's no bathroom breaks allowed. Well, one kid in this class is visibly unwell. Pale, he's sweating. The teacher notices and goes over to him. What's wrong? The kid whispers back. Do you think the dogs would go to my locker? The teacher kind of pauses. Do you have something to be worried about? Kid nods yes and says, there's a ham and cheese sandwich in there with extra mayonnaise on it. The teacher's confused. That's not a problem. You're allowed to have food. The kid says, I know, but it's been in there since September. 6 months. 6 months the sandwich has been in the locker and the kid is so worried about it, I'm pretty sure that sandwich smelled. This kid wasn't afraid of getting expelled, he was afraid that the dogs were gonna uncover this weird biological event that was growing in his locker for 6 months. Luckily for him, the dogs didn't go by his locker and nobody uncovered the sandwich smell. But that teacher never forgot the fear on that kid's face.
In this house, the entire family did something crazy. Every night, an alarm went off at 2 a.m. School nights, weekdays, holidays, it did not matter. Everyone had an alarm. And when it rang, you got up. You would then head down to the kitchen. Your milk. Once everybody was down there, the lights would turn on and the fridge would open. And the entire family would just grab stuff they wanted to eat. didn't matter. Leftovers, cereal, meatballs, whatever existed in the fridge was free game at 2 a.m. Then they would sit around the table, half asleep, and eat whatever snacks they had. And they talked about nothing. And after about 15 to 20 minutes, they all went back to bed every single day. 10 p.m. they would sleep, 2 a.m. kitchen, morning, work, and school. And as kid, he never questioned it because he thought that that's just how families work. Well, when he slept over at a friend's house for the first time, he set his alarm for 2 a.m. And when it went off, he went down to the kitchen. And nobody was there. He waited there for about 6 minutes, but nobody came down. I've been waiting here for about 6 minutes, but nobody's coming down. So he just goes back to bed, and in the morning, he brings it up to his friend. And his friend thought he was crazy. Well, yeah. This guy says that even now, years later, sometimes he will randomly wake up at 2 a.m., like his body's trying to get him to go to the kitchen. Just an instinct. And sometimes he does go down there and grabs a snack. That's nice. This could have been so bad. In this one class, he used to sit in the same seat every single day. Front row in the middle, nothing too special about it. Well, one particular morning, he noticed the person that usually sits right to the left of him was absent. So there was an empty desk right there, and he decided for that day he was gonna sit there. Class then starts like normal. About 25 minutes in, there's a large crack. Then another. Then the overhead projector that is directly above his normal seat falls down and crashes onto that empty desk. That could have been you. Yeah, I know. And it went down fast. The desk was now cracked. Imagine if he was sitting there. The room was frozen, like holy crap, this could have been horrible. Maintenance comes in, they pick it up, they make sure nobody's hurt, and then they just go on about their day. But that day could have gone a whole lot differently if his classmate wasn't sick, and if he decided he wasn't gonna switch seats. But he did, and life went on. Somebody's looking out for him. This English teacher was super chill. Okay guys, late homework can be turned in at any time up until the last week of school. Dude, that's awesome. You can turn your homework in up until the last week of school, and I'll take no points off. He figured that this would encourage students to just do their homework at their own pace and do it well. Well, one kid takes advantage of this situation. He doesn't turn in homework all year. Weeks pass, then months. The teacher assumes this kid just dropped the ball and that he's not gonna turn it in ever. Until the final week of school. He brings a stack of worksheets and essays to this teacher's desk. And I mean stacks. All right, here you go. Yo, what is this? It's late homework. Remember what you said? I also emailed you 6 of the book reports, so those should be in your inbox now. All right, thanks, teach. I hate my life. So now this teacher, on the last week of school, has to grade a crap ton of homework. It's the last thing he wants to do. Oh, I am never doing this ever again. The next year, all right guys, welcome to class. Homework is due when it's due. There is no exceptions for late work. Dang, that kid ruined it for everybody.
কি হইছে বলতো? আর বলিস না, তোরে যে বুকিং দিছে, সে তখন আমার পিছনে লাগছে।
দিশান, আমার দরজা লাগিয়ে দিতে। আমার দরজা লাগিয়ে দিতে। কই যায়? কই যাস?
আমরা তো বিয়েই দিয়ে দিবে বাসা থেকে।
মাম্মা, লাভ স্টোরি তো শুরু করে দিলা। ভালো ভালো ভালো। মালটা কি পড়ানো যায়?
তুমি একটা কাম কর, আজকে থেকে আমি তোমার, তুমি আমার, ব্যাস ডিসিশন ফাইনাল, বুকিং দিয়ে রাখলাম। ঠিক আছে? কি খবর তোমাদের? কেমন আছো তোমরা সবাই? ভালো তো না? তুমি জানো তোমার কালকে তো কতবার বলছি।
হ্যালো, আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম।
কি রে? এদার। তুইন, মানা করতেছি। কিছু না কিছু। আগে আপনি জানেন, আমি একবার অসুস্থ হয়ে গেছিলাম। ও আমাকে রক্ত দেয়নি। আর আজকে আপনাকে রক্ত দিয়ে চিঠি লিখছে। এই কি করবি? চেনা চেহারা না হলো কি চেহারা, কথা তুই বেশি চেহারা ওরকম বেশি।
আপনি না শুই না না দেখা সব জায়গা ফেলছেন বাবা।
রক্ত লাগবে রে।
রক্ত?
আসবো না মানে?
হ্যাঁ তাই তো শুনলাম।
আসবো না, ঠিক আছে দেখতেছি ব্যাপারটা। যাও।
কি রে, তুই কোচিং এ যাস না কেন?
দোস্ত আমি কোচিং এ কিভাবে যাব বল? এই গুন্ডাটা যে আমাকে ডিস্টার্ব করে, তুই দেখতেই তো পারছস, ডেইলি আমার পিছনে লাগে থাকে।
আমার ভালোবাসার গল্পটা অপূর্ণ রয়ে গেল।
গলবে, পাখির মন গলবে, এমন মন্ত্র দেব।
এভাবে রাস্তাঘাটে একটা মেয়েকে উত্তক্ত করে আর নিজের গায়ে রক্ত দিয়ে
এই এই দুলাভাই সামনে থাকলে যে সালাম দিতে হয়, আপনি শিখাই নাই তোরা?
যে কোচিং এর সামনে যে গুন্ডাটা দাঁড়িয়ে থাকে, আমার তো মনে হয় পড়াশোনা সব বন্ধ করে দিবে।
আমি তোর প্রেমের গল্প সাকসেসফুল না। আমার কথা বিশ্বাস কর।
আমি শুধু একটু প্রেম ভালোবাসা চাই, আমি শুধু ওরেই চাই বাবা, আমি শুধু ওরে পাইলে হবে।
ওকে, আমি আপনাকে ভালোবাসি। আচ্ছা, আপনার কাছে একটা প্রশ্ন। আমার তো অনেক ভয় লাগতেছে দোস্ত, এই যে আস্তে আস্তে সব মানুষ জানবে, তারপর আমার ফ্যামিলিকেও জানিয়ে দেবে, আর আমার
এন্ড বেস্ট অফ লাক ফর ডক্টরশিপ। আমি দোয়া করি তুমি যেন একজন ভালো ডক্টর হও।
কি রে মাম্মা, কই রে তুই? কতক্ষণ ধরে দাঁড়ায় থাকবো? কনসার্ট তো শুরু হয়ে যাবে। তাইলে তো বন্ধু রীত লেগে গেল। আরে বেটা এত লাফাইস না, যেরকম শুনতেছি পরীর মতো এরকম করলে তো বেটা যা।
পারলে তো ভালো,
দেখা যাক কি করে শালা।
বোবা। হ্যাঁ, কথা বলতে পারো না?
বিয়ান সাহেব, আসসালামু আলাইকুম বিয়ান সাহেব।
এক্সকিউজ মি।
তাই তো বলি, কেন ফোন যায় না? না, তোমার নাম্বারটা তাড়াতাড়ি করে বলো।
ঘন্টার পর তো গার্লফ্রেন্ডের লাগে ওয়েট করতে পারো, আর বন্ধুর লাগে 2 মিনিট ওয়েট করতে পারবা না? ও এখন আমার দোস্ত, তাইলে তো বন্ধু রীত লেগে গেল। আরে বেটা এত লাফাইস না, যেরকম শুনতেছি পরীর মতো এরকম করলে তো বেটা
বাদ দে, কালকে 4টা দেখা হবে।
ঠিক আছে মামা। ঠিক আছে মামা, ঠিক মতো যা। শালা পারলাম না রে। তোর তো হাওয়াটা একটু হয়ে গেল।
তুলি, তুই তো সুন্দর নাম। আচ্ছা শুনো, আমি জিসান, আই লাভ ইউ।
আপনাদের তো চিনলাম না। আমার বড় বোনের যে দেবরগুলো আছেন তো সবাইকেই চিনি, বাট আপনাদেরকে তো চিনি না।
তুমি পড়ো, ঘুমাও তাইলে। গুড নাইট আর বাই।
সহজে কোনো কিছু পাওয়ার মজা নাই, কিন্তু আমগো দোষ জিসান কি কম।
ও
ভাবি লাগে বেটা, লজ্জা লাগে না?
কি ওর কথা বাদ দে,
পারো তুই যা।
জামুই তো।
তুই চুপ থাক।
কিন্তু আমি তো আপনাকে চিনি না।
চিনো না যে আজকে চিনলা, আরো চিনবা, আস্তে আস্তে চিনবা। আর শুনো,